Good day, everyone. Today, we will be discussing a crucial aspect of education, the policies and standard in instructional materials development. Before we start our presentation, let us first introduce ourselves. I am Arman Kabilin, and together with my co-reporter, Ms. Jean Taman and Swini Ann Napigkit. So, what is policies and standard instructional materials development? So policies and standards in instructional materials development refer to the official guidelines and the quality benchmark set by the education authorities to ensure that learning resources are accurate, age appropriate, inclusive, and aligned with the curriculum. These policies guide the content, design, and production of instructional materials to meet educational goals and cater to diverse learners. Standard helps maintaining consistency, promote critical thinking, and ensure that materials are culturally sensitive, gender fair, and free from bias or misinformation. So next slide is next slide is local and international standards for instructional materials. So what is standard? What is local standard, I mean? So local standards are developed by a country's education department or the authorities, like for example, DepEd in the Philippines. This standard ensures that instructional materials align with the national curriculum, reflect local culture and values, support mother tongue-based education, and it also addresses the specific learning needs of the students in that region. The next slide is international benchmark. So what is international benchmark? These are set rather by global organizations such as UNESCO, ISO, or International Organization for Standardization, and other educational bodies. These standards focus in inclusivity, accessibility, digital learning, compatibility, and global competencies. This ensures that materials can be used across countries, support global education goals, and promote cross-cultural understanding. So, the next slide will be discussed by the next reporter, which is Ms. Jean Taman.
So good day everyone. I am the second reporter, which is my topic is government regulations and DepEd CHED guidelines. This topic in the Philippines education system involves a set of policies and frameworks designed to ensure quality, accessible, and relevant education at both the basic and higher education levels. So DepEd policies. Department of Education or DepEd issues detailed guidelines on content standard approval, process, and monitoring of elementary and secondary instructional materials to ensure compliance with educational goals. DepEd implements policies under laws like the Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013 K-12 program, focusing on learner-centered and flexible learning modalities to address diverse learners' needs. For example, DepEd Order Number 24, Section 2023 provides guidelines on the procurement and distribution of learning resources to support effective K-12 implementation, ensuring timely delivery and adherence to quality standard. DepEd also collaborates with other agencies to promote health and safety in schools. A joint administrative order with DOH, CHED, and other establishes a healthy setting framework in learning institutions, integrating health promotion and education to support learners' physical and mental well-being as mandated by the Universal Health Care Law. So now, let's proceed to the CHED protocol. Commission on Higher Education, CHED offer frameworks for tertiary education, emphasizing quality assurance, relevance, and alignment with national higher education priorities. CHED regulates higher education institutions to maintain quality assurance, align programs with national development goals, and support academic freedom. are allowed to design curricula suited to their context but must comply with CHED's policies, standards, and guidelines based on outcomes-based education and the Philippines qualification framework. CHED has issued memoranda to ensure health protocols for limited face-to-face classes during the COVID-19 pandemic, reflecting responsiveness to public concerns. And that's all my report.
Good day everyone, I am Sweni Anapikit and today I'm going to discuss to you about the copyright laws and intellectual property in education materials. So let's start. Copyright. Copyright refers to the right granted to the creators or copyright holders of original works. Copyright protects owners' right to control how their works are used. So I have here an example of a copyrighted materials that school staff might encounter include. So the curriculum materials, the textbooks and other teaching resources, software and apps, films, video, and podcasts. So I have here also another example that uses every day in school. Material protected by copyright include photocopying, scanning, downloading, screen capture, performances, and screening. So let's proceed to the next slide. So in fundamentals of copyright, copyright grants creators exclusive rights over their original works, including reproduction, distribution, and adoption, providing legal protection for instructional materials. So imagine, we spend hours creating a great lesson plan or educational video. Copyright ensures that others can't just copy and use your work without permission. So it gives you control over how your work is used and shared. So this is important because it encourages creators to keep making new and useful materials. So when they know their work is protected, they're more likely to invest time and effort in creating high-quality content that helps students learn. In education, copyright is especially crucial. It helps ensure that creators get the recognition they deserve for their works and motivate them to keep producing great materials that benefit all of us. So let's all do our part to respect copyright and support the creators who work hard to develop the learning materials we use every day. So, in fair use in education, educational institutions can use copyrighted materials for teaching under fair use doctrines, provided usage in non-commercial and limited, avoiding infringement risks. So sometimes teachers need to use materials that are copyrighted, like videos or articles to help them students learn. So fair use allows them to do this, but with some rules. So the rules are the use should be for teaching only, not for making money, and only limited part of the material should be used. So this way, schools and teachers can use these materials without breaking the law. Fair use helps teachers do their job better while also respecting the right of the creators. So it's a balance between using what's needed for education and protecting the work of others. So the next slide is the intellectual property or IP. It is a term used to encompass a range of legal rights that protect the creation of the mind and creative effort. So here are some examples. The patents, trademarks, and registered designs are one of the examples of intellectual property, as is copyright. So in intellectual property, here are the protecting original works. So author must register intellectual property to secure legal claims and prevent unauthorized use of their educational content. So when authors create something like new, like a book, educational material, they need to protect it so others can't use it without permission. To do this, author register their work for intellectual property rights. This gives them legal proof that they own the work and can stop others from copying or using it without permission. By registering their work, authors can safeguard their creation and ensure they get credit for their efforts. So this encourages for them to keep creating high-quality content that benefits everyone. So in licensing agreements, Clear licensing defines usage permissions, helping educators ethically share and adapt materials within legal boundaries. So a licensing agreement tells us what we can do and can't do with the material. It gives us permission to use it in a certain ways like sharing or adapting it first for the students. So clear licensing agreements help educators use materials legally and responsibly. It ensures we respect the creator's right while still being able to use the resources we need for teaching. So now let's proceed to another part of the intellectual property, the open educational resources. So, open educational resources promotes free access and sharing, but still require respect for attribution and license terms to uphold creator rights. So, in education, open resources are free learning materials that teacher and student can use. So they include textbook, videos, and images that help with learning. When using open educational resources in the classroom, it's essential to give credit to the person who created it. This is called attribution. You also need to follow the rules set by the creator. So these rules might say how you can use the material or share it with others. So by following these rules, teachers and students can use open educational resources responsibly and make learning more effective. So open educational resources can be very helpful in education. They can make learning materials more affordable and accessible. Teacher can use open educational resources to create engaging lessons, and students can use them to learn new things. So by using open educational resources correctly, we can support teaching and learning in a positive way. So let's use open educational resources in a way that respects the creators and benefits students and teachers. So in conclusion, creating good instructional materials requires following rules and standards. By knowing and applying these guidelines, educators can make high-quality materials that help all kinds of learners. Respecting copyright laws also protects creators' works and encourages new ideas. By doing this, we can make better learning materials that help students learn and succeed. So, that's all for our report. Thank you for listening.